Well, hello everybody, it's Christi Friesen, and I am here to do a bow wow wonderful project with you. It is called Lump Mutts. It's one of the projects in my new dogs book. It's a great book. You'll have a lot of fun with the canine inspired projects in there, but one of my favorites is this fun little lump mutt. Isn't this the cutest little guy? And he's just one of many mutts that you can make. And the neat thing about this is it truly is just a lump of polymer clay mushed into a dog shape. So that means you can totally do it. Now, if you're new to polymer clay, there are other videos here at firemountaingems.com that you can go look at first that will give you the basics of polymer clay, just kind of give you an overview of how to play with it. If you've never played with it before, this is going to be your new addiction because it is so easy, so inexpensive. Obviously, you can get it so easily here. And it doesn't dry up. It's not going to go bad. You can just play with it whenever you feel like it. So it is awesome stuff. Take a look at that stuff, then come on back, and we're going to make a pup. Are you ready? Okay, so the first thing, obviously, with polymer clay is you want to mix a delightful puppy color, right? Which can be any color of your choice, from normal dog colors to purples and greens if you're feeling Dr. Seussy at the moment. And I'm just going to show you just this little small bit. I have 2 pieces of polymer clay. It comes in little blocks like this, and they're various different colors, and you can just rip or cut off little pieces and mix it by hand. There's other things you can use too, rollers and pasta machines. That's in that basics video, but mixing it by hand works well. You see what I'm doing is I'm just folding and smushing until you start getting a marbleized piece of clay. All right, well, I did that earlier, so I don't have to do it now because that doesn't sound like very much fun to watch me just mush clay up a bit. But look, now we have a nice marbleized puppy color. This is about the size of, like a ping pong ball, wouldn't you say? Which is just right for a lump pup because we're going to pull a tail out of there and pull a snout out of there. All of the bits of the puppy are already hiding in this ball, just waiting to come out. So first of all, figure out who is, Fido, good. He's in there. Let's get him out. I'm going to roll the little ball into a bit of an oval shape. All right, just something simple, little length to him so you've got room for the snout. Then you have to pull his tail out. Dogs don't usually like it when you pull on their tails, but he doesn't have a face yet, so he doesn't know. So all I'm doing is, see, I'm just kind of pulling this lump and I'm moving my hands around in a circle, because if you just go, then you have a beaver, which is a whole different project. So you want to pull and move it around, almost like you're a pencil sharpener. Now, when you get to the appropriate tail length for the puppy you have in mind, which can be stubby, it can be long, it can be skinny, it can be fat. And whatever it is that you do, just pretend that that's what you always meant, because who's going to know, right? So I'm going to kind of tip it up a little bit in a curve, and I've got a pinch in the end so it's not just a blob. It doesn't look like a snake biting him in the butt. And then I'm going to press it down on the table and see how I'm just kind of pushing it so that the end blobs out a little bit, because you don't want a dog that falls over a lot. People are concerned if your dogs are just lying haphazardly all over the table. So try to make sure he can stand up. Now he needs a face, so we're going to do more finger manipulation. If you have those long, glamorous fingernails, you might want to use someone else's hands or trim your nails. So you're going to pull, pull, pull until you have enough length so when you pull the face out, he doesn't look like a dachshund's like that. So it's all good. All right, so I'm going to pull, pull, pull until I have a little nose starting to come out. See how that looks? Just funky little nose. Sort of looks like a penguin at this point, which is maybe not what you want, but if he gets too penguin-y, you just push. The nice thing about polymer clay is it responds to the heat of your body, especially if you have warm hands. It's going to get soft quickly, so just plunge them in ice water if that's a problem. But it will respond very quickly, and you should be able to shape it, no problem. All right, so we got a snout. I'm going to just give him a little pinch here to have a bit of a forehead. That gives the eyes somewhere to be. All right, I'm not worrying too much about jowls and everything else. This is a simple lump mutt. Just has a normal doggy face, nothing crazy, easy peasy. So now we've got a space where eyes can be. For eyes, I tend to use either a glass eye or a glass bead, or you can even use clay, but glass eyes and glass beads are fabulous. So I've got like a little tray here of different things. There's some garnets and there's some tiger's eye and just some little black beads in there too. And you're going to take just a bit of wire. I've got some 28 gauge wire cutters and pliers. Just snip yourself off some and put your bead in it. I'm not going to try to do that now because on camera when I try to find the tiny little hole in the tiny little bead, yeah, that's not so much fun. So I've already put one on there and I've got a pair of pliers. So I'm just going to grab the wire with my pliers and twist with my fingers. What that will do is it'll twist a little tail onto the base of that bead. Now you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just shove the beads right in there? You can. But over time, they may pop out, and you're never going to find the right size bead to stick back in there again. Then you have to use glue. It's a whole thing. But if you put an anchor wire on there, it's going to attach into the clay. The clay will harden around it when it gets baked, and your eyes will stay in, and your puppy will thank you. Once you've got a little bit of a wire there, you're going to trim the end off. And what you want to do when you're trimming the end off is ask for one of your children to come into the room and boom, get it right near their eye, because that's always fun for family memories later. It's good for therapy for them. And then you're going to just pull the little end of this, obviously I'm kidding, and bend the hook. So what you've got is you've got a bead with a little wire and a hook on the end. That hook will really anchor it in. All right, so now you're going to go, okay, so pup, where are your eyes? I like to have a little tool and press the little holes in for the eyes first. This makes me be able to tell, okay, good, that dog looks like he's a normal dog, hasn't been dropped on his head a lot, his eyes are, you know, in the right position and they're even. Once that happens, you can just press the eye bead into that hole and push it in pretty deeply, because if his eyes are kind of sticking out there, it looks like somebody's choking him and his eyes are popping out, and unless you like that look, I don't recommend it. All right, so we've got most of a pup. He's got some eyes looking out at the world, being happy. We need a mouth, a nose, ears, right? Let's do ears first. Another little ball of clay. I'm just rolling it from that wad that I had earlier, turning it into a teardrop by just pushing down on one side of that circle. If you just try to roll it, you're going to have a nice long snake, which is totally useless for this project. So just push on one end and you get a teardrop. And flatten it with your fingers. Fingerprints are your friends. It's no problem. And you'll have a nice little Cocker Spaniel, Beagle style ear. There are other kinds of ears, and it's a good reason for you to buy the book, because I go into all kinds of dog ears. But we're going to right now put the happy ears in the, oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you position, and I'm just pushing them onto the side of the face and rubbing it. Neat thing about Polymer is you don't have to do anything special to help it attach to itself. You don't have to cross-hatch or add slip or say any magic words. You can just smush it on and rub it with your fingers or with a tool, and that will help secure the clay to itself. Pretty simple stuff. Once the ears are on, he can stay like this, because right now, to me, this is like, the can opener, what? That's kind of a fun look, but you can also tip these ears down in sort of a little bit more doggy fashion, right? So that's up to you what you want to do. All right, we need a nose and mouth. Simple, simple. Black clay in a little ball. That's a nose. Stick it there. Now, if you just put it on the end, that looks cute, but also has a little bit of I'm a clown dog feel to it, which if you like clowns is great. If you don't, press it in just a bit more with your fingers and manipulate it so that it becomes a part of his head and not just the little clown fairy dropped the nose on the dog and wandered off. So just pinch, pinch, pinch. Now, he doesn't have to have a mouth. He could be a stoic dog, very philosophical, not letting you know what he thinks. Generally speaking, though, dogs are not really that inclined, so you want to make a big mouth with a tongue sticking out. Using a cutting blade, and I'm just cutting a slice through the mouth. So you can see what I've done here is I've just cut that. And usually I get my little needle tool in there, or whatever, toothpick works fine, something like that, and just get it in there so the mouth is open. Now we want to stick a little tongue in there, red, pink, any other doggy tongue color. You're going to just roll out another little teardrop, which by now you're a pro at doing, flattening it out, going back to the needle tool. And I'm going to put a little line in the middle of the tongue, because that's how tongues go. And I'm kind of pinching it up around. Can you see what I've done? I've like pinched that around the tool a little bit. That lets the tool grab onto the clay. Then I can shove it in his mouth and push down, twist and release. Then that little tongue stays there. And it can have its mouth open because it's a hot day, or can have it closed just because he's lusting for doggy treats. So right now we've got a pretty fairly simple and finished lump dog looking good, and I need a collar for him, right, because he's somebody's friend. So I just took a bit of blue clay, that can be whatever you want, and roll out a snake and press it down. Simple, simple stuff. Just roll out a long thing and stick, 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 stick. And you're going to just wrap it around him. Now, in the book, I kind of go into playing with a buckle and all that stuff. We're not going to do that right here, again, because you can go get the book and see that. But I am going to just give him a little collar, and as you get to the crossover point, I'm just going to rip away what's left, soften that edge so it doesn't look chewed, and keep it in position. Now from here, there's a couple of things you can do to personalize that. If you have little flat back crystals with the hot fix on the back, that's a little glue backing that melts into the oven and stays on. You can press those all around. That's what this little lovely one has. A nice little shiny collar. Or you can tie a bandana around his neck, which is what this guy has. That's just a little triangle of clay added in the bandana area. One thing I like to do is just put little head pins with the ball tips all around to kind of give them that studded collar look, because I think dogs are fond of that. If they have a chance to go to the doggy collar store and pick out their own, they tend to go with the stud ones because, you know, they're pretty cool. I've just trimmed these head pins smaller, so they're not really long anymore. They have like 1/4 of an inch on them. And you see how I'm just pressing them into position there? Used some tweezers because I got fat fingers and just push them in. I didn't bend the ends on this because generally speaking, by the time you push these in fairly deeply, they just stay put. It's not a biggie. And guess what else we found here at firemountaingems.com was this cool little head pin. And it comes really long, so I've cut off the tip, but it's got like this little dangle collar, little tag. Isn't that so, collar tag for the collar. Isn't that so amazing? So we're gonna stick that one right there and press it in. Now you could put a little hook on the end of that if you wanted to make sure it didn't fall out, but this will now give him just a little dangly. Can you see dangle, dangle, dangle? That's so great. He will love that. All right, so guess what? That's done. How easy was that? If you feel like it, you can add little textures for fur. You can add some spots on him. You can do a lot of things. Again, that's in the dog book, so get that book and see how you can customize your pup. But all that's left for him now is to just play with his expression, make sure his ears are well placed, if he wants to have his head tilted a little bit because he's thinking about things, whatever you want to do, and then get him into the oven and bake him. And if you're not sure all the hows to do on that, obviously we have a basic tips and techniques about polymer clay as part of the video series here. Okay, doesn't that make you want to just get some clay and play? I figured so. So I am so glad you were here with me today. We could do this together. We could get the creativity jumping and bounding, and I hope that you will continue to look for all of your creativity needs, from clays to tools, mica powders, all the stuff we've talked about, additional videos, all the good stuff here at firemountaingems.com. So go play with the pup, and I will see you again for more creative fun with clay.